Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Studebaker National Museum. Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite artifacts in the museum, and that is our 1927 Commander Model EW sedan. 1927 was the first year for the Commander model. Studebaker had previously called this model the Big Six, but they dusted off some new, more descriptive, more action-y names, if you will. So you had the Commander on the Big Six line, and it got its name because it's powered by Studebaker's big 353 cubic inch inline six-cylinder engine. That engine debuted in 1918, and it would last appear in Studebaker models in 1928. Well, this particular car is special to us because this is actually a record-setting car. In 1926, Ab Jenkins, who was a Studebaker test driver, he also was mayor of Salt Lake City at one time, but he was a big name in endurance racing circles. He and his 1926 Studebaker Big Six had gone coast to coast in right around 86 hours. I think it was 86 hours and 20 minutes. Well, in the intervening time, that record had been broken by someone who was not Mr. Jenkins. So he took some umbrage at that and decided it was time to recapture his crown. He purchased a new 1927 Studebaker Commander, the very car you see here, and set off from the Tottenville Ferry in New Jersey to reclaim his coast-to-coast run. And it gives it away right here on the hood. It says New York to San Francisco. The previous record was 79 hours and 55 minutes. Mr. Jenkins captured the crown in 77 hours and 40 minutes, and that's 3,300 miles along the way. Now, you must remember that back at this time, in much of the western part of the United States, roads were not the vast ribbons of concrete with rest areas and fast food restaurants at every off-ramp. In fact, a number of roads west of the Mississippi River were not even paved at that time. Well, Jenkins had a rather unusual journey right around Lincoln, Nebraska. Having just eclipsed the 80-mile-an-hour mark on one stretch of the journey, they came across an unmarked curve around the fair city of Lincoln. And traveling 77 miles an hour, they found they could not negotiate the 90-degree turn and ended up launching themselves into a farmer's field after crashing through his fence. The Commander suffered some damage, some of which is visible to this very day. One side here, I think we got a wrinkled fender, and there's some other things we'll take a closer look at in a minute here. But most importantly, despite the damage to the body and chassis, the engine was still sound. They did not pack it in. They continued on their way, arriving in San Francisco, again, 77 hours and 40 minutes after they left New Jersey, reclaiming the Transcontinental crown. We also should note that this was also better than the best Transcontinental train times of the day, and truly a new record and one that all Studebaker owners should be proud of. The car was actually completely stock. It was not hot-rodded in any way. It was the same engine you could buy in any other 1927 Studebaker Commander. The only modifications they did make was Mr. Jenkins carried a couple extra spare tires, and they also fitted an extra gas tank in the rear passenger compartment so they could have a little extra range on their refueling stops. But 1927 Studebaker Commander Model EW sedan, a record holder, and one we're proud to have right here in the Studebaker National Museum. When Ab Jenkins took his little off-road journey just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska, the Commander endured some pretty significant damage. In fact, it's most visible here under the hood. The car went airborne, Dukes of Hazzard style, and landed heavily on the front suspension. See right here, this seam right here on the body is not supposed to be there. That's actually where the metal was torn, and they actually tried to re-weld it. And there's an identical trauma mark on the other side as well. And actually, I think if we look, there's even a little bit of problems on the front fender, and even the entire frame on this car was bent badly at the time. It was later replaced before the car was placed into the collection. You can actually see the part number Studebaker stenciled on the replacement frame as they pull it straight out of the part stocks.